Hi. We want to talk to you about John Green.
Shh, I'm reading John Green.
I thought you were supposed to have finished that before we got here.
I did finish it.
Was it that bad?
Ugh. No, but doesn't everyone who reads YA love John Green? I'm trying to find it.
Does everyone love John Green? I don't know. Does everyone love John Green?
I'm pretty sure
Tell us in the comments. Tell us in the comments. Do you love John Green?
Why?
Why?
Hi, I'm
Welcome
Gretchen.
to the YA Welcome.
Woo, and today we are reading
The Fault in Our Stars. I'm Hannah.
I'm Gretchen. What do we like about this book?
I loved the fact that it was easy to read.
It was totally...
And by that I mean it was not distractingly written. It was well written. It was engaging.
Absolutely.
There was a strong voice. It flowed really well.
Yeah, he was great. I would agree that he is a great writer.
I was never bored.
I was never bored. I was always interested in what he had to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think on that level, the book succeeds beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that we loved reading it, Hannah, what did we have problems with?
Hazel Grace.
Hazel Grace.
Trope Alert!
And the Trope Alert today is called Hazel Grace, or A Guy Can Choose What He Wants to Call You.
You do not exist until you have been named by your dude.
By your dude, and they've decided
or
what they're gonna call
actually,
you.
the dude who chooses you.
They meet a group.
They both have cancer.
They do both have cancer.
She's got the worst case, supposedly.
They meet it, and he demands to know her full name, because she just introduced herself by her first name and her last name.
And he's like, no.
I want to know your full name. And she tells him his middle name. And he proceeds for the rest of the book to call her Hazel Grace, which is supposed to be seen as this, like, cute and loving
and attentive
and sort of this like cutesy moment in a growing budding relationship.
It creates a sense of false intimacy because they really don't know each other at all, and suddenly he has the right to call her by her middle name.
And she never questions it. She just completely goes along with it, which I find, I mean, maybe as a teenager that is something you would just do, but I find it disturbing.
As a teenager I would be like, don't call me by my middle name. But my name is Hannah.
To be honest, my brother, by the time he was 5, knew to tell people that it wasn't Benjamin, it was Ben. So I have a feeling that a 15-year-old girl or a 16-year-old girl who's dying of cancer and exceptionally smart should have the wherewithal to tell somebody that, no, my name is Hazel. That clearly we think that this is something that John Green just assumed was okay. The power to name yourself, to choose what you want to be called, huge step in you making you a person.
It's all about agency. I mean, if you do not have the ability to, choose your name, choose your life direction, like, all these characters will be stuck in some sort of, like, inextricable, like, series of events where life is just happening and they have to just go with it and survive, and that's what makes them so strong and interesting. But they don't get to choose their own names.
And it's not even that they don't get to choose their own name, it's that a boy gets to choose her name.
It's Adam and Eve all over again!
You're right, it's all about agency and the ability for Hazel to choose her own name. I don't tell people my middle name.
If I just went and called you by your middle name,
I would. If you called me by my middle name at work or anywhere, I would not respond. I purposefully
when people
do
call me
not
Hannah,
tell me.
When people call me Hannah, I don't respond. I just kind of look at them and I'm like,
Lots.
Dot.
It's
an important thing. I mean,
it is an important thing. The ability to choose your name and to be called what you want to be called, that's simple, like...
That's like classic, like, coming of age shit too. When you pick your own name and you decide who you're gonna be, it's setting yourself up as, I am an autonomous being. I can choose my life. Yeah, let's talk about that sexual awakening. So
let's talk about sexual awakening.
So Trope Alert.
Trope Alert, where sexual awakening stands in for an actual personal actualization.
The main character has to have this sort of like timid and naive interaction with their own sexuality, and then some big dude comes in and he's like, hey babe.
And it's always the girl's a virgin. The girl has never had a sexual experience, much less a kiss before this moment. Before she's met the main character. I think that's the biggest trope alert.
Trope alert! So the woman has to be like
sexually inexperienced.
A blank slate sexually. She's
pure white. She's Snow White.
Our culture doesn't have a problem with being virgins at all.
Not at all.
No obsession with that.
Everyone is a virgin in YA until they have their first sexual encounter with the love of their life.
Right, and it always has to be a dude who we never ever find out if he is a virgin or not.
He's sexually ambiguous.
He's sexually ambiguous, but definitely in charge.
And definitely more experienced.
And she never questions it.
Never questions it. And usually prefers it.
Yes, because he can be the man.
He can be the man
and lead.
He can show her how it's done.
her into the cult of, patriarchy.
Patriarchy.
Parents.
Oh my god, parents.
Parents don't exist.
Parents don't exist. But parents don't exist. Also, that's also trope alert.
Trope alert.
Trope alert. Parents don't exist. Parents are never actually parents.
They're always like imaginary friends.
Go off and do that really, weird thing with a boy in a city that I don't know.
You want all the dollars? Here, have all the dollars.
All of the dollars. Speaking as a kid who grew up with parents who kind of had to worry about my safety and what I was doing, if you haven't noticed, I've got 9 fingers, people. Also, this is just normal. this like head tilt isn't just me being cocky. That's just me hanging out.
So tell us a little bit about this.
So I grew up partially in a hospital, which is true. And so I usually don't read books about kids in hospitals, mostly because I always manage to find some like grating dissonance between the experience that the author is providing and the experience that I had. I will mention that my parents sacrificed and took me to the best medical facility in the country. I understood from a very early age, and by the time I was in high school, most definitely understood that my parents had sacrificed financially a lot in order to give me great health care and see that I got through everything.
So what problems with the reality of the hospital life and living with cancer and all that did you see in John Green's story?
I think my biggest problem is that it's such an insular world. And I don't have cancer. I don't try to speak for people who have cancer. But at least in my experience, you sort of are always when I say I half grew up in the hospital and half grew up in Kansas, that's sort of how I view it, as the hospital is this sort of other place and then the real world is this other place, but you're constantly living with one foot in each world. And so things are constantly smacking into each other and you're constantly trying
real
to
life is
real life
messy.
Happens. Real life is messy and it happens and friends and it's a whole big thing. And for this book, I felt it was just everyone had cancer and there was nothing real.
There was no interaction
between
normal people and cancer people.
Right. And I mean, all the kids I met at Ronald McDonald houses who had cancer totally had lives and brought girlfriends from the outside or boyfriends from the outside. Whatever. And you were constantly having this sort of tug of war with reality, that's such a weird term.
And that makes the cancer world seem like it's not real.
Right, it makes it seem like the cancer world isn't real, or the hospital world isn't real.
Yeah.
But everyday life, I guess I should say. Because hospital life is different. It's a different schedule. I mean, trust me, you'll never get a full night's sleep because a nurse is waking you up every 4 hours going, I gotta take your temperature and your blood pressure, and are you awake? Are you in pain? Scale 1 to 10.
Her entire social world is centered on
cancer.
The support group. And it's hey, look, I'm grumpy, I have cancer, what's the use? I'm gonna, not have friends and not do this and not do that, but my mom makes me go to group. I mean, if you're depressed, yes, I get that. That happens. People, depression is a struggle, and that kind of situation is definitely something that would trigger that kind of, seriously antisocial, let me just hide in a hole and, disappear.
At some point you do, you exist.
At least her parents would have friends. She would have, an actual friend who is a real friend. And that brings us to our next trope.
Which? Trope Alert! Okay, so Caitlin
is her best friend.
Caitlin is her best friend. The trope that Caitlin occupies in the YA space is the boy-obsessed best friend who doesn't exist.
She's, cute,
insanely perky,
knowledgeable.
About boys.
And makeup and social cues. She's the popular.
Caitlin is not a real human being. Caitlin doesn't exist. She is this boy, happy, crazy, obsessed person. And that's really all she's ever given to deal with, is that she's the one who Hazel has to turn to when Hazel has a boy question. She is totally knowledgeable about boys.
She's basically an Ask Prudy. She's got flat parents who are an ATM, and she has a boyfriend a best friend who is a, relationship help column. That's it. That's her entire support group.
And Caitlin she's so...
And Isaac.
And Isaac doesn't count as her friend. Would you call Isaac friend?
Technically he should be, but
technically he should be
because gender roles and he's not a romantic interest. It doesn't exist as a friend.
I guess I never really got them as friends. I never got the friend vibe from either of them, and I have.
They could have been friends. They could have been friends.
They would. I mean, like arguably, she saw him through the Night of Broken Trophies.
That was good.
The Night of Broken Trophies. She saw him through that, but like I never got that. Like if she was depressed, she was going to call him up and talk to him.
I also
she would
thought
have
that
talked to
Isaac
Caitlin.
was more real of a friend than Caitlin.
I would agree that Isaac is more of a real friend than Caitlin is, but I'm never sure I got... Well, I clearly understood, if only because, like, I think Hazel actually states that Caitlin is her best friend several times throughout the book. Best friend. I understood that Caitlin and Hazel were best friends, but I never really understood that Isaac and Hazel were best friends.
No.
I understood that they were friends in the sense
She would never say that because he's a boy.
Well, right. Well, I only got the sense that they were friends in the sense of, like, you know how when you're dating someone, you automatically become friends with their friends, but then I feel like without Gus to sort of hold them there,
yeah, it's true.
It was sort of like, I mean, even his death sort of like counter is like also forming that same glue.
Yeah, it's
like,
true. They bond over that.
They bond over that, and they really have nothing in common and aren't really a part of anything as a friendship without Gus. So basically what I'm saying is like 90% of the relationships she has in this book are because of a boy.
I mean, it fails the Bechdel test.
It does fail. I was just going to say that. Like, it fails the Bechdel test. And we'll probably...
John Green is such a great feminist.
You
can Google it.
You can Google it, or we will provide a link to a description of it in the doodly-doo below. But again, I think, you know, if you're looking for a great read that's really fast and really simple, I think The Fault in Our Stars has no faults when it comes to that. If you're looking for a book to critique critically for feminist critique, it's also really good for that.
And if you're looking for a book that has some massive problems with how it deals with existential philosophy,
totally
we can take that on too. Bye.
Bye.
Go.
Trope Alert! It's a big... Hannah's crossing herself. Everybody back up. No, seriously.
Shit is about to get real.
Shit is about to get real. Feminism is about to happen.
I woke up like this.
We just, made feminism happen and destroyed the human race. Those two have nothing to do with each other.
I'm gonna make you popular. Don't. Yeah, never mind. Sorry.
We good at boys. Little ways to flirt with us. Woo! Show you what shoes to wear. How to fix your hair. Everything that really counts to be popular. And if I ever hear someone tell me scale 1 to 10 ever again, I'm gonna, like, pop you.
What's yours?
Scale 1 to 10. How are you? Scale 1 to 10 me that.
People, go away forever. No.
Oh, no, you can't go away forever because we're vlogging right now.
I want to hide.
We're all recovering patriarchal women.